Funding for Overheard with Evan Smith is provided in part by Hilco Partners, Texas Government Affairs Consultancy, and its global healthcare consulting business unit, Hilco Health, and by the Matson McHale Foundation in support of public television, and also by MFI Foundation, improving the quality of life within our community, and also by the Alice Kleberg Reynolds Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.
I'm Evan Smith. He's a professor of journalism at UC Berkeley, the author of 4 best-selling, critically acclaimed books about food, an essayist and thinker and lecturer named by Time to its 2010 list of the 100 most influential people in the world, a friend to healthy eating and sustainable diets, a foe to fast food, big beef, and other links in the so-called industrial food chain. He's Michael Pollan. This is Overheard. Is that a vote you'd like to have back now?
Because you're a judge or a justice in your case doesn't mean that you're free of personal opinions about that.
You have a dimmer view of him than you have of presidents past.
So when they take your name in vain, you just laugh it off. For the larger issue, though, in your mind, is that it's not about whether there ought to be a death penalty, but whether the death penalty as administered is fair.
Michael Pollan, welcome.
Thank you, Evan.
So nice to have you here.
Good to be here.
Can we talk about food safety first?
Sure, we can start there.
So we just had a food safety bill passed by Congress, the most meaningful change in food safety legislation, as I understand it, since 1938.
Yeah,
you were
least, yeah.
involved in this to some degree as an advocate.
Yeah, I did get involved. You know, we have a tremendous food safety problem. We had a great illustration last summer when a 500 million eggs had to be recalled because they had sickened a couple thousand people with salmonella. And we learned then that the FDA had never inspected these giant hen houses and that they were just filthy, vermin-infested and, you know, a really risky way to produce food. And this is happening routinely in America today. And the FDA had no power. They do not, believe it or not, have the power right now to recall contaminated food. They have to, every recall of food is voluntary. You can encourage the company to do it, but you can't make them. Whereas a toy or a car, they can recall it.
Right, or a drug.
Or a drug, exactly.
Right.
So so this was a bill to give power to the FDA to do that, more inspections, more preventive measures, basically, and also very, very significantly, imported food right now is subject to virtually no regulation, virtually no inspection, and now a tremendous proportion of our food, I don't know how much it is, it's 20 or 30%, is coming from overseas, a lot of it from China, where there's been enormous issues with contamination. So this would subject imported food to the same standards as our food. So it was a really important thing to get done. And
as an illustration of how important it was bipartisan.
It was, yeah.
They don't agree on anything. And they got more than 70 votes,
75 to 23 in the Senate, which was really impressive. So, you know, I think it was a big deal. It was very controversial in the food movement. And in fact, you had 2 wings of the food movement in conflict about it. You have, the food movement's a big, baggy, messy movement. I mean, to call it a movement, I'm actually the only person who actually calls it a movement, but because I think it is one. But on food safety, they have some divisions. And there was enormous concern among the people who support sustainable agriculture and small farmers that imposing these new federal regulations was going to crush them.
Well, in fact, there's an amendment that's in play now, Senator Tester from Montana, right?
Exactly.
To exempt farmers who do less than $500,000 a year.
And are selling the majority of their food within 275 miles, local farmers, basically. And they would be exempt from these new restrictions. And this amendment made it into the bill. Right. And it took a very complex negotiation between the consumer groups and the small farmers. And then a lot of the industrial producers bailed on the bill.
Well, in fact, they're complaining about the Tester Amendment now and saying that if they don't remove the Tester Amendment, they may try to scuttle the bill in the House.
I don't think they're going to succeed.
This is an issue that it affects every single person in every single state, in
all
every congressional district. We all have a dog in this fight.
Yeah. So John Tester, who's an organic farmer himself, a rancher, played a very important role in this. And I think he represents really the food movement's most important advocate in Washington right now. And there will be others, because this is a very young movement. But he crafted this amendment, negotiated it with the consumer groups, and got it incorporated in the bill. And so I think that's a really big deal. So I think that there are good protections for small farms, that this will not. I mean, one of the ironies is one of the things driving the interest in local food is safety.
Right.
that, the organic movement, the local movement, the pasture-based animal protein movement have all been responses to food scares and food safety problems.
Right.
Mad cow disease really begins a lot of this.
Indeed.
And the various E. coli outbreaks in the 80s. So to have the alternative to industrial food crushed because we're trying to regulate industrial food would have been a horrible irony.
Terrible irony.
And so I think we're going to be okay. There's still a lot of, there is, though, a kind of Tea Party wing of the food movement that
they all wear three-cornered hats. What does that actually mean?
Well, just fierce libertarians who don't want the government to go anywhere near anywhere, and I understand their perspective, and they're still out fighting this, and on the grounds that the bill will criminalize seed saving, criminalize backyard gardening, none of which is true. I mean. So there's a lot of...
It's kind of like the death panels of food.
In a sense.
Yeah.
And Glenn Beck has been out there, talking about this. I mean, he's an opponent.